Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones, and tonight I got a good one for you. And I'm doing this video because I'm experimenting with a different background. Since we're in spring, I figure I would put a blade of grass background up here for my video so they don't all look the same. And why am I saying that? It's very simple. Monotony. Now, monotony is not a monopoly, but this video is going to talk about white liberals. Yes, because white liberal is the most racist. And many of your white liberals are your city and suburban people. These are the ones who believe that they are better than the rest. These are your yuppies. So I'm going to title tonight's video, White Liberals Believe They Have a Monopoly on All Minorities. Now, why do I say that? Well, number one, white people in general make up the highest degree of population, or I don't want to say degree, they make up the highest percentage of the population in the United States. And they run just about everything. But that white liberal, see, I don't have too many problems with the country in a small town white people because they're going to tell me if they don't like me or not. And many of them, they like me because I don't cause a threat. But it's that white liberal, that latte white liberal, who's very bougie, can't cook, got to eat out all the time, and they're the biggest feminists. Now, when it comes to society in general, your white liberals are Democrats. Now, you have some, don't get me wrong now. You have some in the Republican Party too, who believe in this modern feminism, DEI, and all that is neo-communism. See, communism, classic communism, went away when Ronald Reagan told Gorbachev to tear down the walls. But when the 90s came and President Clinton came, this is when everything got so politically correct. We didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And that white liberal led the parade. And see, the reason why I'm talking about this white liberal is because that white liberal, and shout out to Minister Japp for saying this a long time ago, talking about the white woman being God. Well, technically, she's not God, but if something is going to be changed, she's going to make sure it's changed. And how is she going to do that? Well, she's going to make all the minorities out there feel like they're oppressed. When you think about Elizabeth Warren, they talk about women's rights. However, when it comes to men, they call themselves trans women who want to play in women's sports. Where's the feminism? You see, one thing you have to understand about white liberals is they live on white guilt. They think they are experts on racism, but everything that comes out of their mouth has to do with race. So when we talk about white supremacy, and the Klan comes from the left. And most of your white liberals are women. If you think about it, we talk about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Most of your white women benefit from DEI, is a fact. And then you have a number of white men who benefit from DEI as well. So generally, people like me never benefit from DEI. We're at the bottom. Now, the black woman is going to benefit a little bit more than me because she meets two quotas. DEI is nothing more than neo-communism. But this white liberal, and Malcolm X said it a long time ago, they're not your friends. They play this sensitive bullshit by overreacting when it comes even to their own people. Oh, well, you shouldn't do that. They're like the race police. And a lot of your Karens are part of your white liberal establishment. Now, again, you think about it. There was a video out, I believe it was 5 years ago. Black people down there barbecuing. I believe it was in Texas. Well, this white woman comes out, white liberal woman. If you all remember it, they called her Barbecue Becky. Well, white people weren't doing anything wrong, and there were black men out there. She was coming out there like she was the police, trying to read an ordinance to them. It didn't work. And you see a lot of these Karens out here. I'll tell you another incident. Remember the Karen up there in New York? She didn't have her dogs on a leash. Well, she said some African American man was trying to attack her. Next thing you know, she's jobless. And your white liberals are your biggest snitches. And let me tell you this, you see a lot of them in the workforce. This is why I don't like working with women. This is why I don't want having women as bosses. And the white men are simps. They go for it. Why? Because they're afraid that they're going to sleep on a couch. And if you look at a lot of your liberal men, particularly who are in the Democratic Party, they're weak. They're moist. They're soft. They're afraid of the women. The women run them. And it doesn't matter what race. The women run them. Now, these liberals have a complex, but they use their guilt. They really hide their insecurity through their guilt. One thing that I'm never going to have some white liberal try to tell me about being black. But you have a number of them who do. And they always want you to join their parade. Now, don't get me wrong. When I look at feminism, I know brother, and shout out to brother Hardcore Tito, and you can find Hardcore Tito, Salty Balls, and Machismo TV. I know they come on late at night, but you have to watch Machismo TV. What they do, they take clips of everything that they've heard from the manosphere and even men in general, and they put it together with music, and it makes a lot of sense. They come on roughly between midnight and 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. But getting back to this white liberal, the white liberal has a lot of guilt. And they want white people. See, the white liberal, they don't like the white people on the right. In other words, if you're a white person and you're from the country in small town, they don't like you at all. In fact, they think you're trash. See, they don't use racism against their own, they use classism. But see, these white liberals are nothing but a bunch of phony yuppies. You talk about tariffs? Well, they don't want tariffs because they want to buy all the bullshit from China. These are the individuals who are trouble. These individuals are the ones who take black people and they brainwash black people. they tell black people that they're oppressed, even though black people spend trillions of dollars. Who buys most of your Jordans? Black people. Black people buy cars. Even ones who live in the hood have money. But these white liberals, I'm telling you, they love to pander. But I'm going to tell you about this white liberal. If you're black out there, they will stab you in the back. They will. But a number of you black women, you trust them. See, the black woman doesn't want to listen to her man, but she'll listen to that white liberal. In fact, she joined the feminist marches back in the 60s and 70s because that white liberal woman needed black women to raise their numbers. This is what you got now. You go on your college campuses. Your campuses are primarily liberal. And you know who the feminists are. The white liberal feminists. And the black women have copied, with the nose piercings, the tattoos, the different color hair. And they're the loudest. And the white liberals, they don't have any power. But these are the ones who think they're in charge. And you see them at your workplace. See, these are the ones they love to talk the shit about you. But the minute you strike back, they're going to use the system. Look at the workforce. They'll be the first ones to get you fired. Why? Because they hit and run. In other words, the white liberal is like the guy that's so small, he thinks he can talk crap to that big guy. And if that big guy puts his hands on him, he's going to get his brother. They hide. White liberals are nothing but cowards. Black people, they don't like you. They use you. And see, that white liberal tolerates anything. White liberal men and women. Now, I'm not saying Democrats, I'm saying liberal. Now, I'm not saying classical liberals. I'm saying the communist and Marxist white liberals, the left. That's what I'm talking about. Because I've seen some conservative Democrats who make good sense. But you black people, you're not oppressed. Certainly, it's not fair. Black people, we can make it. But see, what has messed black people up is we allow that white liberal to control us. You see, when it comes to white supremacy, they're white liberal. See, the white liberals don't even like their own. And you think about it. If you look at this country, although the majority of the population is white, look at the middle of the country. White liberals don't like most of the whites in the middle of the country. I call it the red country. And most of your white liberals are housed in the Chicago area, California. They're always housed where the bigger cities are, New York. And you notice that white liberal is housed where the taxes are high, rent is high, and the cost of living is high. And what they try to do, they try to move out of that area into a red area, but they don't leave behind their mindset of high taxes. They bring it right with them. Now, fortunately, here in the state of Indiana, your land, it really doesn't work. Why doesn't it work here? Because Indiana is nothing more than a bunch of Hoosiers, and they're proud of their state. They're proud to be from the country, and they'll let you know it here. And this state, see, the biggest city here is Indianapolis, where I reside. And you have Fort Wayne and South Bend. But if you look at the map of Indiana, all your cities are spread out. And Indianapolis is the center. So from Indianapolis to, let's say, a South Bend, a Gary, a Fort Wayne, an Evansville, a Terre Haute. Terre Haute's a college town. That's where Indiana State University is. That's really small, but your major hubs, they're roughly 2.5, 3 hours of driving distance. So what is in between Indianapolis and the rest of the cities I pointed out? Small towns and farms. Now, white liberal doesn't want to have anything to do with that. In fact, the white liberal believes that people who live in the small towns and country, they believe they're trash. Why? Because they think they have it all. See, the white liberal, a lot of them, they work in the corporate world. They're managers, and they hide behind their title because they don't feel good about themselves. Now, white liberal won't get down and get dirty. They have an attitude of entitlement. And this is why you have a lot of the colleges out there that predicate themselves on Marxism and communism. Look at Harvard. Donald Trump signed an executive order. Now, of course, with Donald Trump's executive orders, he's going to need the Supreme Court to stop some of this bullshit that these liberals are trying to pass. And no, Hakeem Jeffries is not going to become the next Speaker of the House if the Republicans can help it. That's why the economy has to get better. But I'm not talking about the economy. I'm telling you guys out there, you black folk especially, you Hispanic folk, stick to your culture. Don't let that white liberal influence you. Because that white liberal, I'm going to tell you this. Talking about real niggas out there, it's your white liberal. Everything that comes out of their mouth, they utilize it to make you feel like you're down in the dumps. When black people here, they're some of the most rich people. They're richer than most black people. Even the ones who live in the hood, they got a little money. Well, see, that white liberal doesn't want blacks to get off the plantation. Why? Because the white liberal thrives in power. See, the white liberal, they want to delegate all the time. They want to police your lives. And this is why I want to keep them out of Congress. I mean, you have people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's, in my humble opinion, you're trying to tell adults what to do, and you're nothing but a young millennial who lucked up to get in Congress. Yeah, you beat an old man, the Democrat. And the white liberal's the most stupid person out there. No common sense, very selfish. Many of them do not live in reality. And your white liberals are all on television. If you don't believe me, you got The View, you got MSNBC, you got all of the mainstream alphabet channels, ABC, NBC, and CBS. You also have CNN. And all they do, see, the white liberal, when they talk inside their own circle. In other words, they assume everything, but they never get outside of their box. See, if you think about it, that white liberals the ones stuck on the plantation. They think they have all of the power. And a white liberal is very, 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 very childish. They live in arrested development. They throw tantrums when they don't get their way. You look at what they've done to Tesla. They have to burn it like little kids. So nobody from my part of town has put a bullet in them yet, but that's coming. Because the white liberal has to be destroyed. See, the white liberals, they are not patriotic when it comes to this country. They're also working in your colleges. This is why everybody in college is indoctrinated. Now, fortunately, I didn't have to go to school and take a lot of those courses. Why? Because you're not going to indoctrinate me. But the funny thing about it, this indoctrination has seeped into the Black community. Prior to the 1960s, Blacks, they were right of center. They had the families. Now, they may have not been truthful to one another. I don't know because I didn't live back there. But in the end, they had to work with each other because it was Jim Crow laws. But the white liberal still has Jim Crow laws. And what the white liberal does is hide behind their white skin. And you know what the white liberal does? And it's clever. They let the black women have the mic. That's what they do. Because brought up there in New York, you haven't heard too much about Alvin Bragg, this black woman. George Soros is paying her salary, which, in my humble opinion, that's called a conflict of interest. Because when you work for the government and you're collecting money from another source, you need to provide where it came from. And you look at my team, the Baltimore Ravens, they just let a kicker go named Justin Tucker. And see, that white liberal is good for going way back saying that a man did something to her. So they're saying this kicker, potential Hall of Fame kicker, Justin Tucker, from 2012 to 2016, allegedly. So they believe these women, liberal women in a spa. And you're a football player. What the hell do you go to a spa? That's where all the liberals go. Well, he got caught up. It's coming out now because there's no statute of limitations. And these white liberals, they hate men who are masculine. They don't like men with power. In fact, you have a number of them, they want to be men. See, they want the traditions to be provided to them by men, but yet at the same time, they want to be modern women. In other words, they're always straddling a fence. They don't know which way to turn because they don't know anything. But they believe they have a monopoly on all minorities. And here's why. Because a lot of your white liberals need the numbers so the Democrats can stay in power. And what the Democrats want is a welfare state. And the white liberal believes in a welfare state. If you look at a number of white liberals, they don't own too many businesses. They're employees, whether they work for the government, and they're always talking about their jobs, particularly the liberal white women. It's because the liberal white women have been afforded opportunities through DEI. And the bottom line is, they're the ones who are complaining the most. You ever seen a lot of these Karens on video? Now you hear the name Keisha out. Now, shout out to Angry Snowman. I heard a video, he had a example of a white Keisha. Now she's a mud shark. And we call the mud sharks, they're white women. Number one, they have babies by black men. And once you're a white woman, you have a baby by a black man, even if you're liberal, even a liberal white men don't want you. So guess what? You got to hang in there with the blacks, particularly the ghetto blacks. And they're going to do the same thing to you, the ghetto black man, as he does to the black woman. They're going to fuck you and run. They're going to smash and dash because that's what you're worth. I hate to say that. Excuse my language. The truth is the truth. And when you don't look at reality, when you don't have the education, see, people think education is just going to college. A lot of people go to college and they don't get any knowledge. It's because the white liberals running all these colleges. Most of your professors. College is an indoctrination camp. There's no diversity of thought in colleges. Heck, you got individuals who are trying to turn STEM into STEAM, put arts in there. Art only goes with architecture, doesn't go with science, technology, engineering, and math. Well, see, what the liberals want to do is dress up everything. You know, when they talk equality, they're really not talking equality. They're talking selective equality. But when you're black and you can go against that liberal thinking, they try to lecture you. Oh, no, no, no. He's being racist. Well, how's he being racist? Everything that comes out of a white liberal's mouth has something to do with race and sex and sexual orientation. It's all identity. It's because they feel bad about themselves. They're guilty in their minds. See, if you're a smart white person, or if you're a smart black person, if you look at history, how do we know all this took place? I'm just asking a question. We don't. None of us were there unless there's some true documentation. Because everything that has happened in history hasn't been documented. There are underground cities out there we don't know about. They're actually abandoned cities and towns up in Appalachia. There's a lot of things we don't know about. That's why you never know everything. But see, the white liberal thinks that they know everything. They're much smarter than everybody. And in the end, they end up losing. They lose because they bring everything up through emotion, gaslighting. And when it comes to the men, they don't respect men. But see, that's the white men let them get away. You see other cultures, Middle Easterns, Africans. Well, you know, some of that is spreading over into Africa too. Some of these African women. The Western culture, when it comes to these white liberals, and see, they don't tell you that they love communism. They love it here, but they won't move overseas where there's real communism. In other words, if the white liberal goes out and talks that nonsense in China that they talk here, you're not going to hear from them anymore. They're going to disappear. And see, the white liberal has it easy. They use the freedom of speech. See, what the white liberal wants, they want their freedom of speech. They don't want anybody else to have freedom of speech. And see what they do too, they use the reverse psychology. They call the other side Marxists. They call the other side communists and fascists, when in essence, it's them. It's because they think reality is abnormal and they think what they're coming in with is normal. You look at Cloward and Pivens. They wanted to collapse the whole system and start with something different. What is that system that they want? We don't know. But a lot of these white liberals want authoritarianism. It empowers them to tell somebody else how to run their lives when they don't even know how to run their own lives. It empowers them by, in their minds, they think they're educating you, when in essence, they're stupid. They're stupid because these are the ones that don't get outside their own box. And when you try to challenge them, they're so nutty, they come at you with ad hominem attacks. And I have this as a red pill guy. I do not debate people who aren't willing to listen. I mean, my ideas have been challenged. It makes you much better. It makes you much smarter. The liberals, many of them are selfish. Many of them, they're materialistic. They actually believe in living in a high taxed area is some status. Now, you think about it. It costs a lot of money to live in New York and California and Chicago. Yes, you have some people moving out, but you have a number of people still there too. Why? Because New York is a financial and a media capital of the United States. DC has your governmental power in the United States, and LA is the movie capital of the world, and well, movie capital of this country. And with that being said, a lot of your information is coming through the media, it's coming from your politicians, and it's coming from what you see on TV. Now, when it comes to liberalism, a lot of these parents are putting it into their kids. You look at Tim Walz's daughter, you tell where she gets it from. His wife is angry. His wife needs a, Tim Walz's wife needs a mental institution. Tim Walz thought he was a masculine man, but couldn't even load a rifle. And he's a terrible governor, but you know what? Liberals elect liberals. You know who's oppressed? The liberals. You look at Chicago. Yeah, they tell you they don't like the mayor. Somebody voted for him. Yeah, Chicago's always been in shambles. You had a number of black people and white people who voted for this guy. You see, you get the government you get based on your stupidity. And this is why we have the electoral college. Because if we didn't, California and New York, even with the electoral college, the liberals still have an advantage. Why? Because those states like New York and California have the most population. They have the most House seats. So everything is going to go through New York and it's going to go through California. People don't look at it. You look at the middle of the country, again, we're talking about a presidential election. The Republican president, for the most part, has to win just about every state in the South. Every state in the South. Because even if you win Texas and you win Florida, you don't make up for the electoral votes, electoral college votes, electoral college votes from New York and California. I mean, what's New York have 29? California has 55. That's 84 right there. So when you can get California and New York, you're 1/3 of the way to 270. Meanwhile, the Republicans got to pull off 3 states. And outside of Florida and Texas, everyone else, if you can pull a Pennsylvania, and rarely, I'll be honest with you, rarely does a Republican win a Michigan, win a Wisconsin. Republican never wins in Illinois. You look at that map, the white liberal. Now, what the white liberal does, they give a lot of money. That's what the white liberal bases campaigns on. I shouldn't say campaigns, but the white liberal, they want people who are extremists so they can change the society. So they're going to funnel money into that candidate. But again, the white liberal is going to sit in the back and going to send Jasmine Crockett, Ayanna Pressley. Although you haven't heard too much from Ayanna Pressley, and you haven't heard too much from Maxine Waters, because they're getting a little older. Their time is coming to an end. And the problem with all these liberals is many of them stay in power for a long time. And then you got a few big mouths out there like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez running around with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is a socialist himself, but he's got a lot of money. But he wants what the white liberal has as far as a dream. They really want to be the most elite, but basically doing nothing but being in government. Because the white liberal, they don't own too much. They live off of everybody else. The white liberals are grifters. Now, I'm not saying you don't have people on the right who grift as well, but the white liberal, that's all they do. You look on television. A number of these people aren't journalists. They just sit up there, get the microphone, and they do whatever they're told. Because you're corporations. They're run by liberals. You're Bill Gates of the world. You're George Soros owns 200 radio stations. You got the gentleman Jeffrey. He owns the Washington Post, and he owns Amazon. Mark Zuckerberg. These are the guys, and I hear the liberals always screaming, tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for the rich. You're going to cut tax cuts. You're going to tell that to your donors. Many people on the right, they don't have money like that. No, you look at most of your athletes, most of your entertainers, they're all liberals. They all believe in that liberal thinking. They all believe that the liberals are fair thinking people. When in essence, all the liberals are going to do is use you, especially if you're a minority. You are going to become one of their slaves, particularly when it comes election time. And the black woman is the biggest slave. She gets out there, she beats her chest like she's a man. So white liberal told her this. The white liberal promotes ignorance. The white liberal promotes hoism. They do. The white liberal wants a libertine society. They don't want a society that's structured because the white liberal's not structured on the outside. Because these white liberals, I'm going to tell you something. It's funny with these white liberals. You black and you vote for these white liberals, they're going to contain you. They don't even want you living in their neighborhood. And you black people, you know, these white liberals who indoctrinate you, did they ever come out to your neighborhoods? I've never seen a Democrat in the hood. In fact, some of your wealthy blacks who are liberals, like your John Legends, your LeBron Jameses, the women who were in charge of Black Lives Matter, do they live in a black area? And they're black. Do they come in your area? Does Al Sharpton come into your area? Oh, they'll use you on a camera, but they're not coming into your area. It's because that white liberal has taught you to bow down to them. You see, the white liberal is your real white supremacist. A lot of you don't even know that. You know, you talk about the black conservatives out there sounding white. It's more obvious on the left. But see, what it is with the white liberal, they play that they're the friend and they're the guardians to black people. They think black people need them. Bottom line is, black people don't need you. Hey, black people can't even run their own lives, most of them. But when it comes to that white liberal, that white liberal wants you to stay right next to him so he can give you an order. They see the white liberal, they want the individuals from the countries like Honduras and there. Why? Because I'm not saying that people on the right don't want cheap labor. But when I hear the white liberals talk about, no, we don't want anybody deporting. See, what they want to do, they want to give all the migrants welfare so they'll vote for them. See, it really comes down to politics. And see, to keep the white liberal in power, you have to have the welfare mindset. You have to be an employee. You have to look at the world as if you're always oppressed and you're always a victim. That's the playbook of the white liberal. But what the white liberal does, the white liberal go people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Jasmine Crockett, they will use the minorities who are in power to speak for them. A white liberal is giving the minorities the order. That's why it looks like the white liberal has a minority or a monopoly on all minorities. See, the white liberal wants to keep you poor. So it's not that they don't believe in being rich, they don't want you being rich. And the white liberal, they will tell you how educated they are. They will tell you how to diet in their minds, that you should be. And I'm not saying everybody, but think about it. A lot of white liberals in the cities, they're the ones who become your vegans. They're the ones who have the dogs like the Pomeranians. They're the ones who have a bunch of cats, the white liberals. I'm not saying they don't do that out in the country because, but there are exceptions to the rules. But even though there are exceptions, the rule is the rule because you can see it. You see the white liberal, particularly the white liberal woman, she gets everything and does the most complaining. And she wants people, if you're black, to join her because she's the one that thinks she can raise that fist to black power. And I know here in the black people think that Their women run everything. That white liberal woman is running the white men out there. She's running them. See, the difference between the white liberal woman and the black liberal women, the black liberal woman is just a soldier for the white liberal woman. See, the black liberal woman is never going to get anything changed. It's going to go through her. The black liberal woman is always going to come second. She gets her marching orders from that white liberal woman and that white liberal man. And see, it's that white liberal woman and that white liberal man that have fed the bullshit into the black woman that black men aren't any good. The white liberals hate black men because we're a threat. This is why in the workforce, you don't see a lot of black men in the corporate world because black men are a threat. That black woman is not a threat. And so they know that black man can go in there, take all the women. And a white man doesn't want that. White man is intimidated. I mean, you think about the white liberal. They try to take things from our culture. So they want to deal with our culture, but not with us. Bottom line is that white liberal is weak, insecure, arrested development. They live in delusion. They get on TV, like I said, and I'm going to repeat myself. They get around the people in their circle. They don't know what's happening outside their circle. They're in a box. And they love being in a box because they don't know anybody but themselves. Many of them go to work, hang in cliques, go to happy hour together. They're so insecure that, and I've done this, I'm going to happy hour with some of them. All they do, they leave work and they come to happy hour talking about work because they're giving those fancy names. It's like the job I work at now. I guess to make everybody feel good, they give them all at least a project manager name. And I'm managing people. A manager manages people, problems, and projects. They just have a project manager title so they can go and tell their girlfriends and some of their guy friends, I'm a project manager. So that's what the white liberal has to have. White liberal believes that a job title is also a status. Having a PhD by your name is a status. They look at symbols. But what's behind that symbol is ignorance. That's what's wrong with the white liberal. And when you look at media, liberals do nothing but lie. I'm not saying that conservatives don't lie. They have their issues too. That's why, as a black person, you can't get indoctrinated by any of these individuals, right or left, who try to brainwash you. And I'm not saying that everybody white is looking to brainwash you. But if I have to pick a side, at least I can go over here with the country and small town whites. But going over here, these individuals, all they do every day, these are the ones who are working in government jobs over here, and they do no work. You see, they don't want the government jobs to go away. Why? Because they don't want to compete. They want the cushy jobs, but they want somebody to pay for them. That's what the white liberals want. That's why you hear so much talk about deportation and immigration. Because see that white liberal, they don't care about the immigrants. The only thing that the immigrants will do for the white liberal, you give the immigrants some chips. The chips are known as welfare. You keep them in line, and then and those migrants will keep voting you in because they know they're going to get something free. That's the white liberal mindset. But black people keep listening to that. Black people have fallen in, some of them have fallen in love with that white liberal, black men and black women. I hear them repeat the same talking points. So you must have gotten that off of CNN. And see, the white liberal, they don't want you to think for yourself. They don't. Because in their mind, they tell you how to think. They tell you what to think. This is why, in retrospect, the white liberal doesn't want free speech. The white liberal wants their speech. And the white liberal is clever enough to get their speech through minorities. And to make minorities feel good, they'll give them a microphone. Even if the minorities are stupid. And a number of these black women are stupid. They get out there, got no power. That white liberal is tugging on your strings. Because I guarantee, if a black liberal woman goes to jail, that white liberal woman is not going to get her out. And that white liberal man is not going to get her out. You don't find out who your friends are when you get in trouble. That's the problem with that white liberal. See, the white liberal in their mind is this. They think they're saving the world. And this is why a number of individuals go to school. They want to save the world. They want to be social justice warriors. Well, first of all, they don't know anything about the world, but they feel too much. They don't critically think. And what I mean by critically thinking, because on the internet, I keep hearing this, I'm a critical thinker. I'm a critical thinker. I'm a critical thinker. Many people don't even know what critical thinking is. It means you analyze something through the proper research to get a solution. And what you're trying to do is come up with an objective point, not a subjective point, but an objective point where there is no emotion involved. And you're challenging the evidence. You're asking questions. That's critical thinking. But you don't have people like that. They call themselves critical thinkers when all they're doing is utilizing their own anecdotal experience. And that's what liberals do too. Liberals don't like marriage. A number of liberals, and you men who are liberals, well, the liberal women don't like you, but yet you want to follow them. And I think the men who are liberals, the liberal white men, they follow their wives so they don't sleep on the couch. So the men who are liberals, they've been reduced to puppy dogs because they've allowed the women to control them. And see, the liberals want that philosophy to come over to people like me, which hell no, it's not coming here. The liberals can't even control their lives, but yet they want to try to control my life. In the meantime, these liberals are living delusional lives. And what these liberals try to do, and I love big women, I'm not knocking them, but they will tell somebody who's 400 pounds, out of shape, that they're beautiful. You might be beautiful on the outside on the subjective level, but your health isn't beautiful. But they'll tell them that. Liberals continuously lie to people. That's what liberals do to make them feel good. That's another reason why Americans, a number of them are stupid because they take the bullshit from the white liberal. The white liberal, they just, even when you are at the bottom of the barrel, you're a baby mama. The white liberal will make you believe that you're just as good as a person with no kids, or you have a baby out of wedlock. They will call people who are married. They'll say, "Well, your wife is a baby mama." They will come up with all kinds of cataclysms to make themselves feel good, to put themselves in the winner's circle. Well, meanwhile, these liberals aren't winning anything. But there are not enough men out there who want to check. Because you know what? The men are really falling behind these liberals like puppy dogs so they can sniff their panties. That's what it is. It's the truth. And these liberal men are afraid of the women. When all they have to do is bond together and they overpower women, they can go change the laws. But they're afraid. They're afraid that women have a voting block, and they're a big voting block. Women are a voting block and a big one, and they won't vote for them. Well, if you learn how to gerrymander the districts and you get the right women out there and the right men out there, you don't have a problem. But see, too many of you liberals out there, you want to stay on a plantation, but you want everybody else to follow you to the plantation. That's where you all are off base. You don't know how to live in reality. You don't understand the economy. I mean, when you try to explain a tariff to a liberal, they think, well, everything is going to go up high. Well, first of all, a lot of shit that you buy, you don't need. You just want it. And that's what liberals do. They want. They don't understand what needing is. They don't understand what relationships are. They don't understand what money is. Why? Because they're so used to getting it from someone else. Yeah, you know, I always talk about welfare. Well, you got people getting all kinds of money from the government. You know, remember something about welfare? It goes up just like it comes down. People don't tell you that. You don't hear too much about corporate welfare, bailing these companies out. Welfare is welfare, no matter what. Now, getting a government check from the VA, that's, look, you earn that, or a disability check. Well, that's not welfare. That's not welfare. And who says it? But what I do know out here is that when it comes to the white liberal wants you to be on welfare. See, if it were up to the white liberal, they'd have UBI, universal basic income. The liberal wants the government to run everything. They want equity. That's what the white liberal wants. And they want to be able to fund it. See, if you look at the government, most of your white people run the government. Now, I'm not saying on the conservative side that it's that much greater, but it's better on the conservative side because I've seen some guys, particularly some blacks on the conservative side, that they got me wondering too. Because some of them sound a little shifty themselves because they're not thinking for themselves. Because even if you're on the right, if you're not thinking for yourself, you're on the plantation. If you're on the left or the right, but it's really coming down from because the left, what they'll do too, they'll make you feel guilty. They'll make you feel, I'm using word, they feel. They will, in their minds, even if you don't believe it, they try to have you believe in it. And they use different tactics, name calling, They start talking about race so much. That's what the white liberals do. Now, when it comes to feminism, that's probably something that needs to be read about because some people believe that black women came up with feminism first through the Shirley Chisholm days. That's something that needs to be a little more research because regardless, feminism is feminism, whether black people started it or black women started or white women. It's a problem. And it's a problem that's keeping us all down. This is, I mean, you look at everything now, you look at the workforce now, what the white liberal has done. They're allowing piercings. I see so many women with piercings going to work. So many women with different color hair going to work. Sleeve tattoos going to work. Look hideous. And that's what the liberals want. The liberal wants undesirable people to feel desirable, even if they're crackheads. And another thing about the white liberals, they love criminals. Because see, the deportation, you're not going to be able to deport everybody when you get the criminals out. But see, the liberals love criminals. They love anybody that they can put on the welfare dole so they can vote for them. That's how the liberals think. And when it comes to the minorities out there, I know the Asians are a little smarter, but you have some goofballs up there, like that goofball up in Detroit. That sand nigga up in Detroit. I forgot his name. With a tie on, he's talking about impeaching the president. Al Green tried that and it didn't work. See, these guys are talking so much that they don't have any power. And remember, when you're in a house, unless you got the knuckleheads voting for you, you only got a 2-year term. Now, I believe Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she doesn't know anything. You know why she keeps getting elected? She's got a big mouth and she's got the looks. That's why she keeps getting elected. And I know there are many guys that want to pound her. And there are guys that will listen to her BS on a date so they can sleep with her. So that's what the white liberal does. You look at all these dating sites. A number of your women, I'm not saying all of them, but a number of them. And I witness this as a black man. A number of the white women, when I said like somebody country and small town, that were checking me out, they all came from the liberal mindset. They didn't read. And I don't get along with too many people from the liberal mindset because they don't want you to voice your opinion. You have a conversation, and when their feelings start getting hurt, they want to cut you off, and then that's when they want a name call. I remember back in the days, you get on the phone, talk to one of these liberal women, or even a liberal men. They get so hot under the collar and so sensitive, they'll hang the phone up. They're cowards. That's why I never listened to them. But you have a number of people out there who gravitate because they sound like they're talking. It's just like there was this lawyer. Bill O'Reilly or somebody played a video, talked about women's rights. We stand up for women. But then she came out, I was Barry Cunningham. Sounded good. Okay, we're fighting for women. Women aren't fighting for women. If you want men, trans women, because you don't see trans men who were women going out there trying to play basketball. Hell no, they'll get stomped out. But you get these trans women, they call themselves women because they don't want to compete with men. They'll go and play in the women's sports. We're the feminists. Oh, that's right. They're part of the feminists. See, the white liberal wants to do anything to actually stop the patriarchy. And when I mean patriarchy, I'm talking about structure. I'm not talking about a man enslaving a woman. You know, a lot of guys use the word submission. I don't use the word submission, it's cooperation. That's what I use. But you got too many individuals out there, too many of them, who, and I'm talking about the white liberals, they come at you like they know more than you do. That's the issue. They want to be your savior, and they're doing it through guilt. And you know, a number of these white liberals, they don't want to be white themselves. See, they want to be black when it comes to getting some things from the black culture, but then they want to move back over to white where they get the privileges. This is how the white liberal operates. That's why you got to be careful. Their playbook is this: they want to get the numbers by using all the minorities, particularly black women. Black women, out of all of the minorities, they've fallen for the okie doke the most. And the white liberal, they know that the black woman is a number of black women are stupid, but they use them for their personal gain. But here's one thing you got to understand about liberals, because in the end, when you're a liberal, period, and this is 100% truth, you might be on the same team today, but in the end, the white liberal and the liberals, period, they always eat their own. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show, right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, check out my second channel, QCIS channel. On that channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, here's where you can find me. For the 401 Talk Zone radio show, you can find me right here on YouTube. I'm also on Rumble, because this video is going to go right to Rumble as soon as I post it. X, formerly Twitter, and on Truth Social. I used to come up there on Facebook and Getter and MeWe, but I wasn't getting many views on those platforms. So a long time ago, I stopped posting videos on those platforms. Now, for the QCIS channel, which have some interesting videos up there while I was in the field doing some inspections, you can actually see them on my other channel, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You can learn something from those videos, but find the QCIS channel. Also on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and LinkedIn. So, if some of you liberals out there are offended, I'm not here to offend you, but also, you liberals need to understand this. Stop trying to envy, because a lot of liberals are envious. They're jealous. They want to be certain people to get something from, but in the end, they return right back to their roots because they think they have all the privilege. Why? Because they're white. And that's a fact. And this is what I tell people. Always be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Whether the shoe fits, wear it. And if you don't like the shoe, change it. Once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.